Hi. This is going to be a story about my last Salvia trip. And when I say last, I mean the last time I did it and also the last time I ever will do it. I know everyone has like horror stories with Salvia. I know a lot of people who have had good experiences. I had mostly good experiences, but the last experience kind of turned me off of it forever. So it was late one night. My girlfriend was asleep. I was bored, had nothing else to do. So I figured, let me blow some salvia. I had some 10x extract that I had done really small doses of in the past, like really, really small. Like I can't even remember, but like 10 milligrams, something like that. And I had generally had pretty good experiences with it, nothing too mind blowing, but enough for me to know that it worked. So I loaded up a bowl with some 10x extract. I didn't measure it out or anything, which of course you should never do with anything that you take. At least I don't think you should. Sat down on my couch in my living room and took my first pull. And the first pull really did not do anything. And this salvia had been sitting in my drawer for a long time, so I thought maybe it lost some potency. At the time, I was also doing a lot of DMT and mushrooms, so I was thinking, well, maybe my tolerance is up or something like that, something that didn't make any sense. So I took the next two pulls in like rapid succession. And as soon as I exhaled my third pull, that's when I immediately started to feel not good. And I don't mean not good like mentally, but I mean physically unwell. I started to have this sensation that you ever get punched in the stomach really hard, like right here? Uh, Imagine that feeling, but instead of someone punching the outside of your stomach, it feels more like someone's inside your body punching your stomach, like punching your actual organs in your body. And the sensation started to get more and more intense until finally I just had to like look down at my chest to make sure that nothing was actually like sticking out, which it wasn't, but the sensation of like someone pounding me in my stomach kept getting worse and worse until finally it got so bad that I had difficulty breathing. Like I couldn't take a big enough of a breath into my lungs because it felt like there was something there inside my body punching around and making it so I couldn't get any air in. So I started panicking. I did that thing that some of you may know. I like to call it the salvia dance, where you stand up, you get confused, you sit back down, you get confused, you stand up, sit down over and over again. And every time I stood up, I was like very confused. I was like, why am I standing? What's going on? Oh, yeah, something's trying to burst out of my body. And then I would sit down, try to breathe, wasn't working, stand up. You get the picture. Eventually, it got so bad that I really could not breathe at all. I was gasping for air. I was going like, and totally unable to take a breath into my body. So I started debating the merits of calling an ambulance or, worst case scenario, jump out my window and kill myself. Obviously, I wasn't thinking very logically. I'd totally forgotten that I was on salvia and all that good stuff that tends to happen. Eventually, I sat down on my couch and I looked to my left, and that's where my pipe was with the salvia in it. And that's when I remembered that I had smoked salvia and that what was happening to me was just kind of a trip. At the same time, I still couldn't breathe. So then, like, a switch was flipped in my head. The salvia immediately wore off. I was back to normal 100%. And the sensation was gone completely. And not only was the sensation gone, but all of a sudden a bunch of memories started flooding into my head of the previous 5 minutes. And I realized that that whole salvia dance that I was doing, the not being able to breathe thing, all that stuff was actually just a hallucination. Like, none of that shit was happening at all. I wasn't standing up and sitting down over and over again. I wasn't pacing around my living room. The reality was is I was just sitting on my couch like this. But in my mind, I was thinking that this thing was trying to burst out of my chest and that I couldn't breathe. And I was standing and sitting over and over again. And that's when I said to myself, oh boy, I'm never doing salvia ever again. It's one thing to hallucinate parallel realms of fantastical, astonishing dimensions that you can't even begin to describe with words. It's another thing to hallucinate a very real, painful experience that makes you have thoughts like, well, I don't know, maybe I need to call an ambulance or jump out my window. It was really a huge mind fuck because I could have sworn that I couldn't breathe. I could have sworn that this thing was like bulging out of my chest. Could have sworn I was standing up and sitting down over and over again, and none of that stuff was really happening. So when I came down off of it, I felt really relieved that none of that stuff actually happened. And I took what little 10x salvia I had left over, and I just flushed it down the toilet because that's what I tend to do with my drugs when I don't want them anymore. So there are some fishes swimming around in the Brooklyn sewer system high as fuck right now. My personal opinion about salvia is that there is a way to do it without it getting so extreme and negative, but I think you have to get yourself some fresh leaves and just chew on them for like an hour. From what I understand, you'll get a milder trip that way. I think something weird happens to salvia when you smoke it. And if I remember correctly, I can't remember the name of the tribe, but there is a tribe somewhere out there in Mexico that does use salvia, and they think it's like blasphemous to burn salvia. Obviously, like, I don't know what the fuck's really going on. I just know that a lot of people have bad experiences when they smoke salvia. I know part of that is because they're like fucking 16-year-olds who are trying to make funny videos for YouTube. I know part of it is because the salvia industry is very unregulated, and, you know, I've seen extracts go up to a couple hundred X extracts, which is crazy. And on top of that, it's legal for any 18-year-old to buy. So that's probably why there's so many bad experiences with it. So that was my salvia trip report. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm perfectly comfortable with cannabis and DMT and mushrooms. I don't really feel like I need to fuck with salvia. Let me know if you guys like salvia, if you found that doing it a specific way tends to guarantee a better, less scary experience. I'm interested to hear from people about really good, profound spiritual experiences that they've had with salvia, because it seems like those reports are few and far between. But at the same time, I do think salvia is kind of cool, and there is a lot of value to it if it was done the right way. Also, as a side note, on a personal level, in my real life, I'm a filmmaker, and I do have a YouTube channel where I put my films. I do make some psychedelic films. I make some regular films also. I'm going to put the link to that channel in the description if you guys want to check it out. That's cool. If not, that's also cool. Not really trying to like plug anything here. Just trying to let people know that if you like my psychedelic content, you might also like some of my movies, especially some of my psychedelic movies. That's all I got. Peace.